not an ordinary teacher. She's not going to teach you and bore you. No, she will dance for you. You're going to dance, right? She will sing for you. She will sing for you. And she's going to tell us a story.
Wow.
Please join me in welcoming our guest tonight, Aunt Sue, or better known as Agnes Suubi. Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Now, Agnes, if you don't mind, I'll call you Aunt Sue because that's how I'm used to calling you, and that's how the world out there knows you, especially those who follow your work.
That's okay.
Now, Aunt Sue, I've known you since 2011 when I first joined the Young Professional Managers Association.
Wow.
And from there, it's no secret that I've been a very great fan of your work, and my life personally has been transformed one way or the other by listening to you.
Thank you.
We want to know, as the audience, we want to know, who is Agnes Suubi? Who is Aunt Sue? Why not Uncle Sue? Why not? Please tell us, who is Aunt Sue?
Oh, thank you. Aunt Sue is Agnes Suubi, and I am a storyteller. I'm an author, writer, and I'm also the CEO and founder of Once Upon a Time series. Once Upon a Time series, we collect, compile, and write stories, most likely the folk tales. We also do legends, but we are more interested in the African stories, because for every African story, they're not only interesting, but they have always a lesson to learn. And for us who grew up listening to these stories orally, we know most of them have actually disappeared. So what we've done in Once Upon a Time series is those that we remember, we wrote. Those that would remember half of it, we would research and compile. And the most interesting thing about it is that we shared our idea with the National Curriculum Development Center.
Wow.
They loved it, and they gave us support.
Amazing.
They actually helped us and gave us more information, edited, and actually approved our first book, When Bitter Tomatoes Became Children.
Wow, that's really amazing, Aunt Sue. You particularly are talking about this book.
Yes.
Of course, we're going to say more about it. So for now, first concentrate on what she has to say. And so I also know that, as for example, in our organization, the Young Professional Managers Association, we initially embraced you in your capacity as a manager. That was in the corporate world. By then you were working with a certain organization that eradicates malaria on the African continent. How do you later on take a decision to leave the corporate world to get into social entrepreneurship?
Oh, thank you. That's very important. I worked for many organizations, and that was about 15 years. I started working I was lucky, I started working for USAID organizations as a young girl, and I picked a lot of experience. I must say I was lucky, more than most of my friends and peers, and I moved through the ladders. And you know, when you got through the ladders, you reach a certain point when you saturate, you become automatic.
Right.
And either you don't enjoy your job, or you do it so fast. A day, work for 2 days, you do it in 30 minutes, and then you're redundant. Then what? And I'm proud for the experience, because I can say I was part of the team that almost eradicated malaria in Zanzibar.
Wow.
And on behalf of the Minister of Health. And I went to different places, I shared my experience. I was an expert.
Wow.
And that doesn't happen to anyone who is working with professionals who are more professional than you. So when you become saturated, and I mean, like, you know, you think you know, maybe you don't know, you become bored.
Yes.
So that's when I decided to use the time, use the resources, and use the network. So one time I'm bored on my desk, and I get a book of folk tales.
All right.
So when I read, it was very interesting. So I decided to write mine. And I shared with my family, my brother in particular. And my young brother was very excited. He's called Amos Chigenya. And he said, you know what, maybe we can record it. Wow. So when we recorded it, it was even more interesting. But I got more support from someone who told me, actually go to the National Curriculum Development Center and see what they can do. Wow. I go there and they say, what do you want us to do? I said, please help me edit. I'd written, you know, when you speak English, you don't necessarily speak correct English.
True.
If you see my first draft of the book, you won't believe it. It is quite something.
I can imagine.
The Narrational Curriculum Development Center helped me edit. They not only edited the English, the grammar, the content, whether it's correct, even the pictures. Wow. I had to redo pictures 3 times.
Wow.
So I got an artist to do the work. I got to do the song right. Wow. And after that, I said, wow, this is good. They approved it.
Wow.
They actually gave us a certificate of approval.
Okay.
And that's the biggest. When we got that, they said we're ready to fly now.
Interesting.
You know, a certificate where you go to any school, any community, and you said, this is legit, this is correct, and would like to share it with your children or with your teachers. In fact, we are now encouraging teachers to write. Because if a teacher writes, they actually do what they call thinking outside the box.
Yes.
Even if you write anything, maybe HIV prevention, how to wash hand, anything written does not rot. Actually, when you have to write something, always be very careful.
Okay.
If it is wrong, even if it's on a yellow sticky, a small yellow sticky like that, and someone kept it, they could hold you accountable.
Wow.
That means writing is very, very important.
Okay.
And it could take you places, but it also end you in wrong places sometimes.
I can imagine. Do
tell. So what happens is when you write, you not only get an income, but you get a stamp like it is forever.
Yes, something once written never goes. Yes, like you said, it can't rot.
Exactly. And we also are aware and we appreciate that modernity has come with a lot of technology, but we also know that there is a gap between culture and technology.
Right.
And it's only us to improve it, to bridge it, you know.
Amazing.
So that's how Once Upon a Time was born. And now we go to different schools, different communities, different places. We share our stories.
Wow.
And it's also an income.
Amazing.
We sell the books, we sell the CDs. What I didn't say about the CDs, for every story we do in Once Upon a Time series, we produce an audio.
Okay.
Because if you've noticed, most of the stories in Uganda, they always have a song.
Yes.
So if there is a song, someone who is not a Muganda or who is not a Mnyankore, if the story is from that region, they may not understand.
Right.
So that's how we went ahead and produced an audio. So it's still okay. You will read a story, but you will find a vernacular song.
Oh.
You don't know how to sing it, it's okay. You have an audio.
Wow.
So it's even better for parents who are lazy, caretakers who are, you know, kids are so, they have a right. They will ask you, tell me a story. Then you buy Once Upon a Time series, and then you reach at a story and you don't know how to sing.
Yes.
So don't worry, we have
the CD
an audio.
You just put it in and the kid listens to the song and then you go on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So some kids have really enjoyed it because what parents do, they buy the CD instead of listening to those disturbing radios in the morning.
Yes.
Play the CD.
Yes. Then there are those who move in long move for long distances to take kids to school.
Exactly.
This is what they listen to.
Even big people.
Wow.
Trust me, so many big people have seen. They've been listening to these CDs and they've had part of the stories.
Wow.
Yeah. So what we do is we say, here it is. It's not revision, but enjoy it.
Enjoy it,
yes. Yeah.
And there are those who actually miss these stories. So this is a very great opportunity for them to refer to them.
Yeah.
Very interesting answer. Now, I like your clarity on these issues, but at the end of the day, I'm forced to ask one big question.
Right.
Yes, you love to read, not so?
Yes. I do.
At what point does a young person of our generation identify, the way you identified that reading, that storytelling was your kind of thing that you could do on your free time and perhaps later on you chose to give it much more priority?
Right.
what was the process you went through of, did you first look at all the things you do best and then you're like, let me choose storytelling? Or, I mean, give us a glimpse into your passion for this.
Oh, thank you. Not necessarily. I can tell, I told you, when you have time and you feel redundant, you actually start feeling useless. And it's not a good thing.
Yes.
So if you're going to feel useless, at least be useful to yourself. Because look, you sit in an office, there is a computer, there is a printer, the printer has ink.
Yes.
And sometimes all you need is to print a small recommendation for someone, but you're so scared and you're folding hands and you say, oh no, what if, what if?
Yes.
So what I'm saying is, you don't even know when it happens until it happens.
All right.
Yeah, because sometimes you're there and you're thinking, okay, am I so bored? Can I try this? Maybe I should open a shop. Maybe I should start selling shirts to men. Right. There are so many women here, they like shoes. Maybe, but you want something you can own. Yes. There are so many businesses out there. And if you're to think outside the box, besides your 8 to 5 job, there are a million opportunities. Wow. But you always need that particular something which is unique to you. Yes. And for me, out of the blue, it was writing stories. Wow. Because I tried it, and when I tested it, I always got cheers. I said, this could be it. Wow. And you're writing a book which, even if you went today, you crossed over to the other world, you know your children or your folks will benefit. Yes. I still read songs of Lawino. Oh. Yeah. But I've never imagined who wrote it. Yes, you've never met the author. I've never met the author, but you feel it. You read it and you feel it. Yes. And publishers will tell you that anything written, even if it's one line, even if it's 2 sentences, even if it's a lie, because people lie and put evidence and take it to police, people will read it. Wow. So what better way to capture your mind? So if I can capture your mind and still benefit, why not? Amazing. That's really amazing. Actually, you know, the reason as to why I had to make emphasis on that question, very many of us, especially we the young people, are in a day, we live in a day and age where unemployment is no longer something new. It is actually, unfortunately, we've come to accept it, you know. Right. We are past a level where we complain because we know, for example, the government, if it's a good government, it provides a conducive environment for jobs to be started or businesses to start. But we don't take advantage. Then I was talking to a lady from Kabale recently. I told you I was in Kabale recently. Yes, and I missed it. Yes, you did. You missed because it was part of the YPMA retreat. So I met this lady, well, I won't mention the name, and later on when we were having a chat, I asked her, what is your career passion? She said, accounting. Why accounting? She said, because it's what I'm studying and my mother pushed me towards that. I'm like, okay, interesting. Do you like accounting? She says, oh, I'm developing an interest in it. Have you developed the interest note? You know, I'm still developing it. What do you like? Swimming. I love singing. In fact, when I sing, my friends think I'm the best musician. You know, I'm like, okay, why don't you consider doing accounting, but at the same time, in your free time, you can actually do singing, perhaps even to a professional level, and someone can pay you for it. So when you tell me that you are here and in your free time you're thinking, okay, can I write something down? Can someone read it? Can someone pick a lesson? But more importantly, can someone offer me a value, exchange of value from it? I find that quite inspirational. Thank you. Now, that brings us to the challenge of the day. We want to answer the question of unemployment. Right. And we want to straight away understand how storytelling, first of all, back then, let's fast track. How was storytelling used to make the community a better place before we go into employment? Right, okay. Long ago, stories were told at a fireplace at night when your mom or your grandmother was cooking dinner. The break when you're waiting for the meal to get ready, Then you would sit somewhere near the cooking place and you listen to a story. It was like delaying tactics, but to keep you alive when the food is getting ready.
Oh,
yeah. At the same time,
knew that back then.
as you benefit from what they are telling you, because every story always came with a value.
Right.
And if you look at most of the stories, indeed, they were useful because they always had a lesson. There is no story in Africa anywhere which is just told for laughing and leaving it there.
Right.
There is always a lesson derived from it. Not to be lazy, always to be accountable, always be organized, always listen to people, always respect, never judge someone by the way they look. You know, everything.
Amazing.
So at the end of the day, there are stories that taught us to be organized. So if you're organized, there is no way you cannot be organized with your money.
Right.
For example, the stories by accident, in an enjoyable way, taught you to have, you know, like kind of financial literacy.
Yes.
Yeah, because you derived the difference between needs and wants.
Wow.
We for sure know that we all need to eat and drink, but you don't necessarily need to eat pizza every day.
True.
Yeah, because that's a wish.
Yes.
Otherwise, you can eat your portion beans and still be as healthy as someone, or even more healthy than someone who feeds on pizza. Pizza is very expensive.
Right.
So there they are telling you, look, this is a meal, and you're okay. This is a drink, and you'll be fine. You'll not be thirsty. But you can choose soda over water.
True.
Then the teeth are gone. The blood sugar is in check. Everything is in trouble because you didn't. But the stories, thank God they were told in traditional way, in traditional places, and even the food was traditional.
Right.
And the way we did work was traditional. So things have changed. But still, when we tell these stories, you'll be surprised. The way we picked those stories is exactly how children these days pick them.
Oh, wow.
Because the stories not only promote reading, but also listening skills. You'll find out that there are adults, even in a working environment, you're talking, they're talking, you're talking, they're talking, you're talking, and they never listen.
Right.
So that kind of person, they have a listening problem. And they will never do things the way you've instructed them. At the end of the day, you've trained, for example, 30 people. There's always someone who will not be able to do a good report.
True.
You gave all of them the same information. You gave them even a template to just write in the gaps. But because they never listened. And that's a skill we pick at a young age.
Interesting.
There are schools we've been to, and the children are uncontrollably loud.
I remember when you were at Kampala Parents, we had that experience. Yes.
Well, that is an exception because the children were so many.
Yes.
But even children as few as...
uncontrollable in terms of
like
character.
The character, the noise, everything, but you could tell it begins somewhere. It begins somewhere. Even social etiquette. They teach social etiquette because when you're talking to a kid and they're not listening, they're just asking you. Or you're talking to, you have visitors at home,
right?
And this child keeps coming and,
jumping around.
Hey, come, daddy, daddy, hey, Aunt Sue, let me tell you this. But you're talking to a big person.
Yes.
That tells you a lot. It tells you a lot about your upbringing, about that kid.
Yes.
Because you should be able to tell your kid, don't interrupt, listen. And some of those values are picked from the stories.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the stories are supposed to be enjoyable so that you don't act as if you're rubbing it in. Because no one wants to be taught like that. That's why we liked certain subjects versus certain subjects. I went to a school where history was the best subject.
Okay.
Because the teacher was so funny. When my history teacher entered the class, we would just start laughing before even he starts talking.
I can imagine.
Mungoni, everything was so funny.
I can imagine.
But he's talking about the Bantu, how they migrated from south to why they migrated, and it is as normal as that.
Yes.
But his character made you enjoy it by capturing your brain and actually making you understand and enjoy the subject.
Wow.
So that's what stories do.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, Ansu, there are those who would say that, there are those who would say, I'm cautious, there are those who would say that non-African culture, especially Western culture, has overshadowed African culture, values and virtues. What would be your comment about that as an African cultural researcher?
It begins with you. Because everyone comes from somewhere, and really depends on where you grew. Some politicians said, where you grew and who grew you.
Okay, let's go with them. Who grew you bit of it?
So,
yes,
where you grew.
And who
if
grew
you're the
you?
kind of parent
Yes.
who gives the remote and the television to your child, yes, they'll take over. Because all they know is Princess Sophia, Jim Jam, and they also have a special seat in the sitting room. No one is supposed to sit on that chair.
Right.
Visitors come and the kid comes, stands near you, and they say, like, what are you doing in my chair?
Right.
They give, they take the remote. People are talking, and for them, they are watching and watching. It is very interesting. But at the end of the day, we have a lot to do as parents, as caretakers, as teachers, about that.
Interesting.
If you let go, it will. If you try, at least they will pick something.
Very interesting.
Yeah, they don't have even to be stories, but even the habits you instill in the kids when they are young. Because if you instill values, trust me, your children will be different from another person's children, even if they go to the same school.
Sure.
Some people are lucky. There are schools that really bring up good people. There are people who went to a certain school, and when you see them, you say, oh,
very true.
Did you go to...
That one went to Nalia SS Bongo.
Yeah,
yes.
Did you go to King's College?
Uh-huh.
Did you go to Wanyange?
Uh-huh.
There's something about you. So you might be lucky. And even, remember those schools, you go when you're already old.
Right.
But you will always find a person who is your classmate in that school who behave differently. They are kind, they are courteous, they are helpful, they are neat. It starts from home.
Wow.
So we cannot blame. Let's stop the blame game.
Okay.
Let's understand that it's our role as parents, our role as teachers, as caretakers, and even community leaders to do something.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Are we looking at a case of permissiveness? Because even to date, you will find that there are those who are not necessarily young, perhaps they're at your university level, and they exhibit the same exact characters that you've just described among the young ones.
Right.
Could it be that there is something lacking, especially, let alone the upbringing? Yes, we've agreed that they've been brought up poorly, but what more do you think society could do to teach them at their age? Because you find a university student acting in a very irresponsible way. The permissiveness is too much. Could it be that?
Yeah, we can still try. But you know, the Baganda have a saying, say, "Kacha mama mera." There is something you can only do up to a certain age.
Right.
Yeah. Like, for example, university, you're talking about somebody who is above 20. And you're teaching them to listen, they'll ask you, who do you think you are? Why should I listen to you? Even my parents don't tell me to listen to them. I know some people who never listen to their parents when they're in primary. And those can be tough people. Those are the people you find in offices, and they tell you, I do not listen to anyone.
Oh, wow.
Because even my parents, I tell them, and they will listen to me. So who are you? So I think, I'm not giving up on them, but we can try. For those ones, we can teach them what they call social etiquette.
Right.
Because social etiquette is where you can share experiences, you can tell them what is awkward, you can try to do role plays with them. If you're lucky, they will change.
Interesting.
But you have to be lucky.
Interesting.
Yeah, but it helps. It has helped. We've gone to places like schools where we've taught social etiquette, and we got good reports.
Wow.
Yeah, the people who used to, you get a teacher eating in public and walking like chewing gum everywhere, and they tell you, wow, that talk was good. So we not only do the stories, but we also go ahead and talk to communities, NGOs, some parastatals invite us, schools, employees, like to think outside the box, to talk about, you know, how to make the world better.
Interesting.
Right.
And the reason I asked that question, and I would want you to see where I'm coming from.
Yes.
I want to think, with all due respect to those who have had a hand in my upbringing, I want to think if I had more time with parents, more parental guidance, especially in terms of African culture and values, perhaps I would see the world in a different way. Now, generally, today young people tend to fail at work because of just a few things, especially to do with character. Yep. We yell at our bosses. We are unapologetic about what we do. I mean, we are impatient when the boss says, you know, you need such a provision, but unfortunately we are not yet there. We find reason to criticize that. We do lots of things that ideally, if African culture and values or virtues are put into play, they would actually make us better people. And yet, at the end of the day, we tend to quit our jobs, hoping we will go start our own businesses where no one can tell us what to do. Right. And the businesses also fail.
Yes.
So, that's where I was coming from by asking that question.
I understand.
Now, what do you think needs to be done now in the work environment to instill the right values and virtues, and then later on we can trickle it down to a self-made entrepreneur?
Okay. One thing we should know that when you work for someone, they pay you. If you're lucky, they pay your insurance. If you're lucky, they might even pay your children's school fees. And those are really good things. And what we don't know, if you work for yourself, you pay all of that for yourself.
Right.
So what young people need to know before they even think about quitting is exactly that. Because if you're going to quit a job, then you have to be extremely ready. You have to be ready for the things you can't even forecast.
Right.
For example, you have health insurance, you can just walk into a clinic and they check your eyes and they give you specs and you're good to go.
Right.
But now you're in your own business and you're going to pay for all that.
Interesting.
No one is going to take care of that.
Interesting.
And it's not small money. Sometimes it may be small, but it's not money that is there always.
Right.
And the other thing is, you may be lucky, like I was. I worked in good organizations, and the money was good, man. I really enjoyed it.
6, 7 figure
something
salaries,
like that.
Yes.
So if you're going to leave that and you go for uncertainty, then you have to have your networks right. Because you're going to write a book, yes, it's a very wonderful product. Where are you going to sell it? You'll need fuel in your car to take the book somewhere. Before you even think of taking the book, you have to promote it, to build your profile before people trust you. For example, I mentioned Curriculum Development Center.
Right.
It's not free. You have to pay money, which is official, it's not a bribe,
right,
to have people edit your book. And they don't edit in one day. They will take months because they are busy or they are doing a good job. So they will edit the book, you wait. They bring you the first draft, you fix it. They bring you the second draft, you fix it. It might even be 3 drafts.
Right.
So if you didn't organize yourself well in terms of your network, your small capital, however small it may be, and your mind also. Because sometimes you might even have the money, but you're used to spending.
Right.
You know, if you are earning 6 million today, you cannot spend it the same way I spend my 500,000. Because I value every shilling. I value every shilling that I count to the dot. To the extent that when I go to buy something, the other day I went to buy shoes. There's a very beautiful shop at the Garden City.
Okay.
And they said, can we charge the bag? I said, no. How much? 200 shillings? No. I'll hold my shoes. They're new.
Okay.
So, like, that is how. But if you're earning that kind of money, yes, please charge.
Yes.
Yeah. You buy things you don't care about tomorrow. And then the other thing about quitting a job, you have to know or have a saving culture. Most of us, or most people like me, actually quit before thinking. So yes, you've kept your last 6 months' salary and you think you can manage? No, you can't. Because the way you've been spending is, it may not change. So before you know it, the money is done. The year is not yet done. You need rent, you need fuel, you need health, you need everything that comes with it. Wow. So like we are saying, be in the right mind before you make a decision.
Interesting.
If you're lucky to be working for someone, first plan.
Interesting.
First plan. Because most people, when they just get out, that's where they get problems. You find people suffering from all sorts of diseases. Before you know it, somebody you knew extremely healthy, they have pressure, they have ulcers, and all this is becoming because of stress.
Yes.
Yeah, so we have to be in our right sense of mind. We have to know the repercussions, and we have to be ready to be broke at some point.
Yes.
Yeah, because if you're lucky, sometimes I'm lucky. Someone will call me and say, supply me 100 books.
Yes.
And 100 books, each of them is 10,000. Oh, right. That's good. That means I've paid the bills, I've paid, I can even be in a social meeting when my cousin is getting married, I can put in a contribution, but it doesn't happen every day.
Interesting.
But the beauty about it, this is yours.
Wow.
This is yours and it's forever.
Interesting.
Because there will be a time when they do restructuring. And they said, Tush, maybe Terakaya will do your job.
Mr. Kaya.
So if he does your job, then why do we need you?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Or vice versa.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Now, we're going to take a very short break, Ansu, but when we get back, I have a package for you, dear audience. So please, when we get back, Ansu is going to tell us a story. But more importantly, after that story, I will also need you to share with us some of the challenges that you have faced in your work of being self-employed, first of all, but then two, of spreading African culture and values. So, dear viewer, you're still watching Live with Tush here on Smart 24 TV. Please, we'll be right back in a short while.
Omukisa ogw'enjawulo okutuukiriza ekirooto kyo mu bizinesi okubeera binojjo otakudde omutwe olaalidde kuba sente zikubuze. Tegeka proposal yo ofune omukisa okumatiza babbingwa mu bizinesi e Uganda era bw'oyitamu baba kuteekamu sente nga mumaze okutuuka ku ntegeeragana mukwataganyize wamu ekirooto kyo naawe ofuuke binojjo nga bo. Yanguwako weewandiise ku Smart 24 TV eri ku Trusted Arcade mu kikuubo omwaliro ogwokubiri ojja kufuna omukisa ogasimbagana ne bamusiga nsimbi bano okubaliiramu lwaki weetaaga okusigamu ensimbi. Olina bizinesi proposal emezeeko ne nabbubi kwegamba nga wakita zuukuka. Guno omulembe gukyusiza enzingulula baaba era bw'olemerera ng'ogenda ku wangatto. Puroguraamu eno ewagiddwa Smart 24 TV, Smart Radio Jinja era nga wonna osobola okwewandiisizaayo.
So Tush, I would like to tell you a story.
Tell,
Are you ready?
Yes, I am. Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. This is a story of Njabala, the lazy one. And I hope I do it quickly because I want you to get everything, but also to be able to finish it.
Right.
So once upon a time.
Rachel, help me.
Okay. Once upon a time.
Time.
Beautiful. There lived a man and a woman, and they had a kid. But for a long time, they had not had a child. So when they had this kid, they were so excited. Unfortunately, the man passed on, and Njabala grew up with her mother. So because she was an orphan, her mother used to treat her very, very special, and she would never make her do any work. In fact, she would just cover her in her bed and go to the garden, come back from the garden, serve her a meal. From serving her a meal, she would again go back. Her mother was very hardworking. Wow. So she would go to the garden like 3 times in a day, come back, do lunch, serve Njabala. Njabala, meanwhile, was seated just enjoying.
I can imagine.
In the morning, watch the birds singing. In the afternoon, you know, she was just the baby.
Wow.
So, Njabala grew up, and she was a very beautiful girl. Unfortunately, her mother died before she could learn to do any work. But, like any girl, any woman, she was to get married.
Right.
But remember, everyone in that village already knew that Njabala was never taught any work. So, no family was willing to offer their son for her, however beautiful she was.
Right.
So, unfortunately, or fortunately, she later got married. You could say, if it was these days, maybe in her 50s or 60s. Or 40s. Okay, maybe late 40s.
I can imagine.
So, when Njabala got married to a faraway person who didn't know her, but she was still gorgeous, reality set in.
I can imagine.
Morning, she couldn't wake up. The man was wondering, what kind of woman is this? So what he did, he got her a big piece of land and a hoe.
Okay.
And those days, when the girl married, they would give her a knife. So she had her knife. And he took her to the garden and said, you know what, my wife, this is our place.
Okay.
I want you to cultivate it because we need food. When Njabala got there, she was in shock because she didn't know. Yeah. She didn't know where to start. In fact, she would always cry and cry and cry. So one morning when she was still sleeping, the guy scolded her and told her, you better go to the garden. I need you to go and work.
Okay.
Remember, those days there was no tractor, and maybe they were supposed to be in that kind of situation anyway.
Yes.
So when Njabala got to the garden, she was so disappointed. She was really upset. Now, the anger she had was of her mother who never taught her anything. Now the mother died. She didn't know how to do anything. So what happens is she started to sing a song.
Okay.
And the song was actually a lamentation song, but the song was meant to curse her mother.
Okay.
I wish you could sing with me.
Oh, I'll try.
So,
someone told me I could sing.
used to sing.
Okay.
Jangu mama gwe wankuza nechejo. Jangu mama gwe wankuza nechejo. Buli chenkola omusajja tachagala. Buli chenkola omusajja nvuma uvumi. Jangu mama gwe wankuza nechejo. Jangu nyambe gwe wankuza nechejo. Buli chenkola omusajja tachagala. Buli chenkola omusajja tachagala. So Njabala would sing that song and she was crying and crying, and you can imagine how strong that was. You know what happened? A gentle wind blew. And from nowhere, her mother's ghost appeared.
I'm getting goosebumps.
And the ghost started to sing also. Njabala, 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 toli sanza muko, njabala. Njabala, 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 toli sanza muko, njabala. Bakazi balima bati. Njabala, toli sanza muko, njabala. Ne batema ne bawala.
Njabala, toli sanza muko, njabala.
Olusuku balusalira.
Njabala, toli sanza muko, njabala.
Njabala, njabala.
Njabala, toli sanza muko, njabala.
Njabala, njabala.
Njabala, toli sanza muko, njabala.
Bakazi balima bati.
Njabala, toli sanza muko, njabala.
Ne batema ne bawala.
Njabala, toli sanza muko, njabala.
Olusuku balusalira.
Njabala, toli sanza muko, njabala.
Njabala, njabala.
Njabala, toli sanza muko,
So when the ghost sang, she was actually, doing work. She was
Yes.
digging, and you can imagine how fast she did it.
I can imagine.
Njabala at first got scared, but when she realized it was her mother's ghost, and she's the one who never taught her to work, she was happy with it.
Wow.
And she went home, and when her husband came to check, he was impressed.
Okay.
And indeed, he was so happy that he started giving her gifts.
Wow.
One day Gomez, one day necklace, another time,
A TV, an iPhone.
There was no iPhone those days. Come on, Tush. So, fast forward. Njabala's husband had a dog. And because Njabala was so beautiful, he had asked the dog. Those days, dogs would be, like talked to in the story. Like, go, make sure my woman is safe, make sure no man is looking at her. She just goes to work and come back. So the dog was not happy.
Okay.
So the dog decided to tell the man, you know what, master? Every time your woman goes to dig, she sings and her mother's ghost come. This man said, no way. What? A ghost to dig? You're joking. So he said, okay, no problem. Tomorrow, I want to catch her myself and see what happens. So again, the next morning, she went to dig. And now she was happy. She was always going with her, hoe and knife, and you go to the garden. And she started singing, Jangu mama gwe wankuza nechejo. Jangu mama gwe wankuza nechejo. Buli kyenkola omusajja takyagala. Buli kyenkola omusajja takyagala. Then the ghost came and said, Njabala, njabala, njabala toli nsanza muko njabala. Njabala, njabala, njabala toli nsanza muko njabala. Bakazi balima bati, njabala toli nsanza muko njabala. Bakazi balima bati, njabala toli nsanza muko njabala. Ne batema ne bawala. The man was in shock because what he saw, he was so in shock. And in fact, those days, Njabala was equated to a witch. So he sprang at once and beat her up and chased her and said, never even come. How can you feed me with food which was planted by a ghost? So Njabala lost it and went back to her mother's home, who was no longer there, and she was there alone and lonely, and everyone was talking about her, and everyone got to know about the lazy girl who used to call her mother's ghost to sing and dig for her. It was terrible. So that was the end of story, and unfortunately, Njabala didn't marry again.
Oh.
And what we learned from that story is we parents must not make the kids we bring up as demigods. Especially these days where there are so many problems.
Right.
People have one kid or maybe two, or they even go to heights to get IVFs and problems like that. Right. So when we get a kid, we treat them like they are some kind of idol. We pamper them. We don't know we are going to leave them, or we shall grow old even if we are there, and they'll have to take care of themselves. Right. So this story is actually telling the kid that it's the parent. But also the kid in this story should know that even her, she should have tried to learn something. Yes. But it wasn't her problem here.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's where we learn to work.
Rachel, how do you feel? That story just amazing.
Thank you, Tush.
Wow, thank you so much, Aunt Sue. And I'm very sure you've also been enriched as you've been listening to this wonderful story. And briefly, Aunt Sue, we've run out of time, but I would have loved to even listen to one more story. Now, if you want to get more of these stories, Aunt Sue is an author like you had. She has published a number of books, and she will tell us briefly what more she does. There is a book here, her first publication, but the second edition, because I remember I read the first edition. This is the second edition. It's edited with support from the National Curriculum Development Center. And of course, she has also gone extensively ahead with her team to carry out research among the elders within different communities in all regions in Uganda, name it, Central, West, East, South, and North. And the book also comes with a CD if you buy it at 20,000. Otherwise, separately, they are 10,000. So the advantage, the advice I would give you is have this for your kids. Now, when you're taking them to school, this is something that you can have play in the car. But then you can also have this because as you are reading, there is a part where you have to sing a song and you may not know the flow of the song. All that is recorded in this audio book. And so,
yes.
Briefly, in a minute, please, and I know you're a good time manager.
Yes, of course.
What challenges have you faced as, I still think you're a young person because we met in the Young Professional Managers Association.
Yes, I'm a young adult.
How many years were those? About 8
Yes.
years ago.
Wow.
And you don't look a day older than the last time I saw you. You don't look a day older than the last time I saw you. So to me, you're still that young, energetic, jolly. By the way, you're still jolly person that I met in 2011.
You're being a nice gentleman. Thank you.
What are some? What are the challenges you faced? Briefly, what are those high big challenges that you faced in your line of work?
Many, but not really bad. I wouldn't call them big hurdles. But like any business, you have to put in. You don't have a donor. You're not talking to a place where you write a proposal and the money comes to the account and you start budgeting and accounting.
Right.
Here you're the donor. You're the accounting officer. And you have to be accountable, as I said, for every shilling.
Right.
So part of the challenge is the project can be expensive. Because we've not reached a point where you can print 1 million books and distribute in the good bookshops.
Right.
And also the other first hurdle which I met, which really shocked me, you go to a bookshop and you have this product, you talk about it, you even have a certificate from the National Curriculum Development Center, and you would like to stock with them. And they say, you know what? Do you know publishers? Why don't you give it to the publisher and they bring it to us?
You can imagine.
Yes. And you're like, wait a minute, this is my brain.
Exactly.
This is my product. And I think you should deal with me directly. But some bookshops don't want that. And unfortunately, they are the places where everyone wants to go to buy a book. But they would rather stock Little Red Riding Hood. They would rather stock Princess
Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, Alice in Wonderland,
yes.
you know,
Beauty
Cinderella,
and the
Beauty and the Beast. But they are not able to promote you as a Ugandan. Then the other thing, I mean, naturally, the market is almost limited because most Ugandans are not readers.
Oh, yes.
So they don't see a reason why they would buy a book instead of ice cream for the kid. So when the book is versus a bottle of Fanta or a cone of ice cream and the kid is crying, they'll buy them ice cream. So even the priorities, much as you think it's a good product and the people who should use it are there, it's not their priority. So it is something like you need to talk to people to try and understand the value.
Yeah.
And then, worst of all, I've got people who have actually bought a book, but just to help me, not help themselves.
Which is
so
unfortunate.
you're helping me
we call it pity buy.
They're helping me. They are sympathizing with me. But you find this book in its seal where they bought it from. They buy it and put it in the car dashboard.
You can imagine.
And the next thing you find them, they are cafe javas eating with the kids. I'm not saying cafe javas is bad. Forgive me, it's a good place. I love it.
Yes.
But you see the value added to it. It's like, oh, you don't have a job. No, I have a job. This is a job.
Yes.
According to me, at least, this is a job. And I may not moving in a big Land Cruiser, but I think this is to my heart.
It puts food on your table.
It does put food on my table, but it's at the bottom of my heart, and it's my heartbeat. Right. I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
And then, of course, we have a problem these days with technology. You find people picking kids from school, and they throw a tablet behind, and they're in the jam, and the kids are playing games. Fine, but what kind of games are they playing? Are they adding value? Are they building their brains? If they are, I have no problem. Of course, I'm not saying they should buy my books and always do that, but at least you have something valuable. I know a parent, I wish I knew her name. She has a very good routine. She picks her children, goes to the gym with them. The kids take a swim, she hits the gym. Then after 30 minutes, they sit at a small table, do homework as they take tea, because tea at the gym is free.
Wow.
Then they sit in the jam when everyone has gone home, so there is no jam actually.
Okay.
Because they did a healthy habit, they took their tea, so they will reach home after homework and they sleep.
Okay.
So if we could have parents like that, people like, more like us, if we could, I mean, we can't all do that, but if we could do good habits like reading, habits like playing games, instead of giving a kid a bottle of Mirinda Fruity and ice cream and 2 sausages here to show love, you could enroll them in a health camp.
Interesting.
Yeah. You could enroll them in a ballet class. Wow. You could enroll them, you could teach them a few skills. They could cook. We've seen kids who cook as early as 6.
Yes.
Yeah, and they cook good food. But if a kid goes to the kitchen all the time, hey, you get burned. Hey, we always do that. But what are we doing? We are ending up spoiling.
We are creating another Njabala.
Yeah, we are creating the Njabalas of tomorrow.
Yes.
And we shall not be there. And it will be too late. And they will hate us. And they will be right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, they will be very right about us.
Very unfortunate. And of course, thank you so much for sharing. Now, finally, Ansu, before I sign out, in a minute, hopefully. You know, teachers are very funny. You say a minute and they say, well, finally. So I'm also one of them. I say finally as we conclude.
Yes.
What are some of the other activities that Once Upon a Time series does, and where can you be located? Because I know some of our viewers would like to have this material. Patience, you have sisters back at home, Sarah and Osnia. Yes, that's if I get the name right. You've told me you want a copy of this. And so kindly read for us. Your address details and tell us what more you do, so that the rest of the world can get aware of having a piece of your wisdom.
All right, thank you very much. Once Upon a Time is based in Kampala. When I say Kampala is because we go everywhere. It would be unfair for me to tell you that we are based in Bugolobi or Naguru or Ntinda. So we say we are based in Kampala, but we go to different places. We go to different places because we are flexible. We'll go to an organization, we'll go to a school, we'll go to a community, we'll go to... So originally we had an office, and we found it almost useless because we are never there. So because we are always somewhere, so we say we are based in Kampala, and we can be contacted. We have a contact.
Okay.
We have a Facebook page. Our contact is 0751
0751
455
455
436
436 0751 455 436.
Right.
Okay. 0751 455 436. I hope you've written that down.
Correct. And these books are stocked mainly at the Uganda Society. Uganda Society is found at the Uganda National Museum.
Yes.
And when you go there, you'll find our audio books and our books, and they are always there. We also stock them in a place called Nice Bookshop in Nalia.
Okay.
We also stock with Book Point in Bugolobi Village Mall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The other activities we do, apart from compiling, we promote reading and listening skills. I already told you. We distribute reading materials, and these are some of them.
Yes.
And if you have your reading materials and you want us to go with them, we can put them on top of one.
If you're an author out there, yes,
and,
there's a starting point.
We can cooperate. And we also conduct school visits in search of talents. There are kids out there who like to write, but they don't know where to start. So we guide them. So usually there is a dear day, drop everything and read a book. We always go to schools and encourage kids who want to write. And we've got so many kids. And a child, imagine a child who starts writing a book. By the time they're at the university, they'll be doing they'll be earning their school fees.
Right.
So we encourage them as young entrepreneurs. So when they write books, we help them edit them, and we also connect them. There are so many book promoters these days, especially for kids.
Right.
I won't mention them because there are many. I may forget some of them.
Sure.
But they've done a lot of things, and they are good things. So we help check those talents, and we also mentor young people. Now we are moving from children to young
to the youth.
Yeah.
Yes.
There are also youths who may not know what they want to do, but they are good at poetry. So we encourage them. We tell them it's possible. Even if you have one poem, you can start from there. And the good thing about the Once Upon a Time series is that we are not starting from nowhere.
Right.
We are not reinventing the wheels, because we believe there is nothing new below the sun. The stories are there, and there are so many.
Wow.
Unfortunately, most of them are not written. So because they are not written, we even encourage those youths to collect stories and write them, and we just guide them how the stories should look, maybe find a good artist for them to illustrate for them. And some of them have got books now, and they're able to sell.
Wow.
But also the reading and writing and making sure you write. When you write, you actually speak well.
Yes.
So we are also hoping when they write, they will be a benefit. We also manage projects on behalf of other people who are busy.
Yes.
For example, Tush, if you have a project running and you're too busy and maybe you want consultants to write for you, we are not doing accountability.
No, that I understand really. Yes. Yes.
We are not doing for your accountability. We're not going to go to NASA Road and forge receipts. No. But if you want technical support, whereby you want a book or maybe a proposal or something like that, we are ready. We have a team of consultants who can do that. And that team actually goes to different places, talking to NGOs, talking to parastatals, talking to communities. We also do voluntary work. We have corporate social responsibility.
Right.
Like we know not everyone can afford a book, so we donate books sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
We do. We are
that's
donors.
Really amazing. That's
so
really amazing.
We donate books, and we are happy about it. Only we want to donate books so that they are read. Okay. We don't want to find the books shelved somewhere in a behind gathering a dust. Big placard. Yeah. So we are happy, and we are hoping to change the world with our small contribution.
Small but impactful. Small but impactful. Yeah. Thank you so much, Aunt Sue.
Thank you.
Once again, your number is
0751 455
436.
Right.
Now, dear viewer, we've been live streaming this on Facebook, but you can also catch a recording of this on our YouTube channel or on my YouTube channel. Please check for Ronald Tush Kamwe on YouTube. You should be able to see some of the previous shows we've done, but more in particular, you should be able to have a recap of this entire show, and you'd be quite amazed in case you even missed something. And so thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And I believe apart from me and Rachel and Daniel and those who are down at in the newsroom, the world out there, for those who have watched, the world out there has been impacted. So thank you so much. And yes, like I said before, I celebrate you. So you're my celebrity.
Wow.
You're my celebrity.
Thank you.
Away from that, dear viewer, thank you so much. You are a bigger celebrity for sacrificing your time, for fixing us in your schedule, your busy schedule, to actually learn something, to be part of us, but more importantly, to envision a better world together with us. Remember, on Smart 24 TV, we aspire to make you a better Ugandan, to make you a better African, but more importantly, to make the world a better place together with you. Otherwise, till next time, it's Ronald Tush Kamoya on Tonight Live with Tush here on Smart 24 TV. Have a good night.
guno omukisa ogw'enjawulo okutuukiriza ekirooto kyo mu bizinesi okubeera binojjo otakudde omutwe olaalidde kuba sente zikubuze. Tegeka proposal yo ofune omukisa okumatiza babbingwa mu bizinesi e Uganda, era bw'oyitamu baba kuteekamu sente nga mumaze okutuuka ku ntegeeragana mukwataganyize wamu ekirooto kyo naawe ofuuke binojjo nga bo. Yanguwako weewandiise ku Smart 24 TV eri ku Trusted Arcade mu kikuubo omwaliro ogwokubiri, ojja kufuna omukisa ogasimbagana ne bamusiga nsimbi bano okubaliiramu lwaki weetaaga okusigamu ensimbi. Olina business proposal emezeeko ne